Thanks, Tom, for the introduction. So I came into college as a computer science major, and I didn't know anything about XR until I attended Filmgate last year. And I saw all of the cool XR applications within film and art, and I was like, wow, this is way more interesting than computer science. So the following day, I ended up submitting my major request form, and I added immersive media as my secondary major, and here we are. So my journey within XR has been very exciting, and it's what brings me here today. It's my pleasure to introduce our lovely panel for this evening. I have here Alec Warren. He's the director of the Frost Planetarium at the Phillip and Patricia Frost Museum of Science. Chanel Menard, a fellow alumna, now a digital strategist at SafeKitchen VR. And Sofia Perez-Baux, another fellow alumna and current project manager at Xennial. So we'll get started. So what inspired you all to pursue a career in XR, and how did your unique background or educational experiences, like at the University of Miami, shape your path into this field?
I can start us off there. Similar to you, I came in as communication studies, but I had a really strong background in art in Miami, South Florida. We had like magnet schools, and so I attended magnet schools since elementary, 3rd grade, and middle school, high school, was always in art. So I came in with that, but I didn't really think of that as like a career, and so I came in as communications, and through the cognates at Miami, I found interactive media, and so like you, going to the conferences and seeing different projects, I was like, oh my God, like I could communicate my ideas, and like there's art in this, and there's tech, and I fell in love with it. So my background in art and communications is kind of what drove me into it, and the university helped me find this major and this program, and wonderful people.
Hi guys, I'm Chanel, and I got into XR kind of randomly, honestly. So I started off with a psychology degree, and I wanted to go into audiology actually. So I was like pre-med and like full-blown science nerd. And then but my dad, he's a full stack developer actually. So I was always in that design world with him and the web world. So I eventually then was like, you know what, why am I not pursuing this thing that I'm a little bit more interested and passionate about, which is design and creating this immersive reality for ourselves through screens and whatever it may be, because I'm also interested in writing. So, but that's the beauty of immersive XR. You can literally do everything with it: audio, visual, text. There's just everything in it. So that's really what drew me into it. And my boss actually found me through Handshake. So I was a senior at last year, and he reached out, SafeKitchen VR, and I was like, oh, what's this? Might as well. and I'm so happy I'm here now, and that it's going how it's going. But yeah.
Thank you for having me here. When I was a little kid, I wanted to be an Imagineer. I really liked Disney. I liked going on the rides. I liked the animatronics. One of my favorite rides at Disney World is Carousel of Progress, because of you get to sit and you get to relax in there for a little bit, but it creates a sort of an immersive experience using the animatronics and telling the stories, singing the songs. And when I was growing up, I really wanted to do that. I liked the creative energy of those types of projects. I liked how you could tell stories through those sorts of experiences. And so that got me involved in things like TV production and video making when I was in middle school and high school. And then I kind of got away from it a little bit when I was in college. But then when it came time to kind of find what I wanted to do, I was drawn to museums, because even though they're not Disney World, you get to create a Disney type of experience from time to time in miniature, by creating cool exhibits, by creating cool educational programs. And so I was really drawn to that and really developed from there. And then as I developed in the museum field, I became more and more drawn to the digital side of exhibit production, content creation, for immersive spaces like a planetarium or like immersive exhibits. And so I kind of have been drawn to that ever since, and find myself in that role today.
Awesome. It sounds like you guys all come from very diverse backgrounds. And I know we kind of touched on this earlier, but what do you guys see as the most in-demand skills for XR jobs to get today? And how do you recommend aspiring professionals, like us students here, to gain or develop these skills?
Yeah, I think flexibility is going to be key for not only for the present but for the future. You have to be willing to learn and practice with new technologies, because this is a rapidly developing field, as we all know and can see. So what the technology of today may not be the technology 5 years from now. It may be completely different, or we could be in a completely different paradigm, right, as far as how we use these technologies. So I think that flexibility, willingness to learn are some keys as far as skill building.
Yeah, for sure. I would go off of that. Keeping humanity, I mean, humans are flexible. Like, we were just talking that we don't want to explain our job titles because we just wear so many hats, and that's fine. Humans should wear a bunch of hats, I feel. So I think going off of that keeping soft skills at the core of bringing XR into the market and industries in general is going to be really key in keeping the humanity and keeping people engaged, actually. And as we saw in the previous panels, we saw that obviously it is still very hard to sometimes bring it into the fields, but with just like exploring, like talking with people in the field and outside the field, and just, yeah, showing them that it's not scary, honestly.
Yeah, I agree. Kind of bouncing off both of you, I would say staying curious, being open to learning new topics. I know a lot of like my work that I've done at it's like I'm working with industry professionals, people who are like, they're experts in their fields, and I don't know anything. And so I'm trying to learn from them, or be like, okay, how do I take something that someone's been studying for like 30 years and make a program for them? So you have to be curious, you have to be like actually wanting to learn and do your research. It evolves so quick. I know my company, we're using AI for a lot of things. You have to learn how to use it, don't be scared of it, and like Xennial was saying, teach people that it's not a scary thing, it's okay. It evolves quickly.
Yeah, and you touched on something that I'll just piggyback off of it a little bit, is that willingness to, if you're interacting with experts, right? Mm-hmm. Because, you often are. If they're a subject matter expert and you're more on the creative side of your job, an important skill to have is to know how to take the main ideas of what they're talking about, or the core sort of, important human aspect of their work, and translate it into something that people can interact with, engage with, and understand. That's something that's very important to our work at our museum, because we're often working with scientists, technologists, researchers, and while they have the expertise in their fields, they may not have the expertise in communicating the importance of their science or their work. And that's kind of the role that we can play in all of our jobs, really, is translating these hard skills into things that people can relate with, understand, and engage in an immersive space.
Yeah, right. And I think that's what the last panel was talking about. When a similar question was asked. I think Denise talked about communication across intersectional teams. It's exactly that. I used to work at VESL, shout out VESL, and I feel like I really was able to kind of hone in on that skill, because you're talking to so many different people who have their niche jobs or their niche topics or professions, and learning how to talk to people, being curious, being open to their ideas, and yeah, like you're parsing what information they're giving to you and deciding, okay, what should we focus on? What can we actually deliver? That's another really hard part.
Yeah. Yeah, I was just going to add to that. With my company, SafeKitchen VR, we're dealing with food industry people who oftentimes aren't very familiar with technology. So that's just one of those scenarios where you really have to touch on the soft skills and humanity, and like even teaching people the basics, how we had learned in our last panel, that even just like how to use the controllers or how to turn the headset on, we have to get to those basics. And sometimes, as some of us are industry leaders, and I don't know, we're starting, but I would say that like we can get caught up in the tech and just get so excited that there all these possibilities. So sometimes grounding ourselves can be good in some ways.
Awesome, yeah. You guys kind of all touched upon the idea of how rapidly evolving XR is. So how do you guys stay ahead on industry trends and are continuously growing in your respective roles?
Yeah, well, I personally really use LinkedIn, so I am following everybody and anybody I can. Shout out Thomas Merrick, he followed me the other week. I was like, ooh, famous. But yeah, no, so definitely checking, following anybody that posts a ton. That's what I do. I just scroll through my LinkedIn feed at least twice a day, and I feel like I get smarter. So, yeah.
I would say for me is just going to conferences like this, being like really in the moment, taking as much as I can in. Specific things like we had a meta thing like XR and healthcare, so I'm able to see what people are doing like in my specific niche for VR, and you see like what your competitors are doing, but it's like, okay, like what can I learn from them, like what connections can I make there, but also just going to things that you're interested in, like talks, because not everything has to be like to the T XR or to the T like VR. Like I love art, so for Art Basel they have talks, so I would go to the talks and it'd be technology and art, and if we're talking about like AI, blockchain, whatever, I'm learning something. I'm engaging, I'm expanding like what I know, and you never know, like a project that I did for the FAA while I was at UM, like I can pull it now that I'm working in different points.
Yeah, so for us at Frost Science and me in the Planetarium, it's a really exciting time for integrating technology into these spaces. Museums are very old institutions. They're among our oldest institutions as societies go. Planetariums have been around for 100 years. 2025 is the 100th anniversary of the first ever planetarium in Germany. So they've been around for a long time, and in planetariums, the technology you would see advances in the projectors, but you wouldn't see advances in the types of programming. For many, many, many decades, planetariums were seen as night sky simulators, places where you would go to hear about constellations and other stories. And then with the advent of digital technology and digital projection systems, you see this explosion in telling other kinds of stories, movies essentially, in planetarium environments. But now, with the advent of XR, you're seeing this explosion in live interactivity, live storytelling, and more personalized and interactive experiences in dome spaces. And this is bleeding over into museum exhibitions and into programming as well. And that's all within the last 5 to 10 years or so that you're starting to see this sort of sea change of how XR is affecting my industry, the museums industry. And it's only going to continue to do so in the near future as this technology continues to evolve and AI becomes more prevalent in things that we do. So it's an exciting time. And to keep up, you just have to make those connections. You just have to know people and have conversations. That's kind of where it all starts.
Oh, that's awesome. And kind of bouncing off of, keeping up with trends and building your skills within the industry. Chanel and Sofia, I have a question specific for you guys. As University of Miami alumni working in XR, how did your time at the university prepare you for your current roles, and what advice would you give to students looking to break into the XR industry?
Well, like I said, I used to work at VESL. When I worked there, it was XR Studio, so it's upgraded since after that. But once I started working there, I feel like there was a shift for me. I was more engaged. I was learning about more projects, more topics. I was meeting new people, and then I joined KTP, and being around like-minded people, having a community of people that support you, they're interested in the same things, they want to go to the same talks as you. It really made a difference for me, and unfortunately I was only able to be there my last year. I wish it was around when I was a freshman or something, but it's great that you guys started that, so congratulations, Bia. But for anyone studying right now, you're still a student, you have some time, join groups, join studios, join labs, work on projects with other students, people who are interested in the same topic as you, and just learn how to work together, collaboration.
Yeah, well, so with the interactive media major, it's pretty nice because you get a taste of basically everything in the tech world, from marketing to hard coding, like back end, front end, everything. And I really liked that because that's how college should be for a lot of people. I feel like dipping your toes wherever you can and immersing yourselves in all that. But I would say, yeah, so if you have just one major, to all the students out there, definitely don't be afraid to explore something that just in the back of your mind, you're like, well, maybe, because this is your last time to really do that. I mean, I'm not trying to scare you. You can learn all your life, keep learning all the time, but college is the only time that you can do it with people like-minded and same age, and it's a rare time, so definitely explore it. But I guess, yeah, interactive media for me, though, did really make my experience special because it just really enveloped everything that I then ended up being interested in and now do as an industry person.
I would also say, sorry, Alec. I touched on it before, but and their cognate system, in the beginning, it might be a little confusing, but take advantage of it, like Chanel said.
Yeah.
So many people that end up their senior year in interactive media, I started off as communication studies. You started off as
psychology.
Right.
Yeah.
You never know where you're gonna end up. So explore cognates, like Chanel said. If you're slightly interested in it, see it through, make it your minor, declare it, and just take interesting classes.
For sure. Yeah.
Yeah, and I am not a grad. UCF, go Knights. But I'll add that those skills that you build in college, those networking, going out, meeting new people, that carries over into your professional life too, I will say. Although not every job provides opportunities for professional development, if you're in a position where you can go to conferences or go to networking events, do those things. That's how you build those relationships and continue to find those like-minded people who are asking the same questions that you're probably asking in your role of, well, how do we do this? How can we do this better? Going to those sorts of events, you learn from each other and you continue to build those skills and really become a lifelong learner. I think that's kind of what we're all touching on, is lifelong learning is super important, whether you're a student or a working professional.
Yeah, awesome. I think we have time for about one more question, but I'm very interested, since you guys all do different roles, what's your day-to-day look like when you're at work? I know you guys kind of touched on you wear different hats all the time, so kind of interested on, what's a typical day like?
Who wants to start?
Every day is different.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
Yeah, for me, for example, this morning I was in the Planetarium training our presentation staff on a new show about bugs in space that we're going to be presenting for our guests. Then I did some work creating video for our LED wall that we have in our planetarium lobby. That's a 40-foot long wall that there is no content for. If we want content running on the wall, we have to make it. We have an event coming up, and so I was making content for that event. Then I came here and was interacting at this cool place, and then I'm going to be going back to the museum after this to prepare for an event that's coming up on Tuesday. So that's just one day. That's all in one day. And every day is really like that. It can be different. Some days you're at your desk all day working on a project or answering emails or attending meetings. Some days you're on the floor all day interacting with guests or helping with an event. Sometimes, in the museum world, you're working a late night event. So every day is different, and that's kind of where wearing different hats comes into play, and flexibility comes into play too.
Yeah. So I would say my day looks very different every day for sure. I work remote actually, so it's like really up to me sometimes what my day looks like. My boss yells at me sometimes. He's like, I'll do work at like 1 a.m. sometimes, but then like not at 9 a.m., So it's kind of nice. That's the thing about tech that's really, really amazing, that you can just do it at any time. Like our laptops and phones are always on us and we can do it. But anywho, I guess, yeah, every day is different. I take a lot of calls with developers and designers and different industry leaders that we're trying to engage in our products. And I do some marketing collateral. I make presentations. I designed our website and actually developed it as well. So I do that, I guess. I do web maintenance. It really varies. LinkedIn posts, lots of hats. But it's good stuff. I love wearing many hats. It's fun.
Yeah, it keeps it interesting. I'm like
Sure.
the same thing. I'm doing QA. I'm checking. It's like, send me an APK, please. Like, let me see the design. Let me see the models. Like,
Yeah.
I need to check everything before it goes, live. Emails, calls, but sometimes you're here. Sometimes you're on a panel. So it's a little different every day.
Organizing your calendar, very important. Budgeting your time. These are important skills that you need to make sure that you have if you're in a job like this. Just budgeting that time.
For sure. Yeah, being your own project manager for sure is very important. And everyone else's, I guess, if you're a project manager. Yeah.
Set that timeline.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys so much for joining me on this panel. It was great. I want to open up to any questions that anyone may have for them.
I think they're ready for cocktail hour.
Yeah.
You're ready for cocktails, huh? I would say that I didn't choose the planetarium chose me. And I could also probably say that about museums too. You just kind of fall in love with it, and I imagine that there are people in the crowd who probably feel that way too. Sometimes you have a very clear idea in mind from a very young age of this is what I want to do. And I'm going to pursue a degree, I'm going to get a job as soon as I graduate, and this is what I'm going to do for my entire life. And other people are on a journey where maybe they don't know what they want to do right away. Maybe they have a general idea of like, I want to help inspire people, or I want to help tell stories, or I want to work in technology. But there's not always a straightforward career path for those sorts of things. And I think that was kind of my journey, is that, you kind of find what you love along the way. And if you love doing it, then keep doing it, even if it's not what you originally set out to do.
Yeah, I would say the same. My company found me technically, so, but I mean, I love that I was found, and like I didn't necessarily go into VR thinking that it was something I was like super passionate about, but I am passionate about it now, and I am happy that I am, and yeah, it's nice, like I was saying earlier, because it does envelop so many things that we as humans are. Like, it doesn't really veer that much away from what we already have been doing as a society. So yeah, so I just thought that was exciting, and I'm just sticking for the ride for right now. But I like it, yeah.
Kind of like the same thing. I think my job found me, or it was right place, right time. It all started with the studio. Hi guys in the back. But I was just able to like pull from my different strengths. Like, okay, I have art background, design background, communication background. And it just ended up working really well for me. So I would say for students, kind of like reflect on your strengths. And it's true, like maybe you could be like, I want to help people. Okay, what are your strengths? Like, how can I help people with my strengths? Like, how do I use that to my best ability? Because if you're not a good communicator, or maybe you don't like talking to people, maybe being a PM is not like the job for you. But maybe you're a critical thinker and you like logic. Being a developer is probably for you. So I think that's how I found my job, got into it.
Awesome. Any more?
Hi, my name is Cassandra. I'm a UX UI designer at Trimble, and I did have a kind of specific question for Alec, because I have a really big interest in immersive exhibits and museums, and also like those exhibits being used for like educational purposes too. And I think you touched on a little bit in what you're saying on like experiential design. And I think something that was brought up yesterday in one of the panels was about in XR and in VR, are we trying to emulate experiences that people already know, kind of not a complete one-to-one, but kind of trying to design the tech around processes that they're already familiar with, but then also in some cases trying to teach them some new experiences, something that maybe goes against the fold and might feel unnatural to begin with, but that they learn to enjoy. And that's kind of where the design aspect comes in, because how do you do that? But I was just wondering if you could speak to that a little bit in the things that you're doing in the Planetarium and trying to show these immersive exhibits, and if you do go more for the route of trying to match experiences that people already know.
Yeah, that's a great question, and it's something that we're still really we're really developing it right now. We're actually in the middle of our master planning process as a museum, so putting essentially everything that we do underneath the microscope to figure out what our vision for the next decade or so of the museum is. That includes educational programming, exhibitions, technology, planetarium, so on and so forth. I would say in the Planetarium, it's very easy for us to go outside of the box because we're not a box, we're a dome. And because we are able to tell immersive stories about places that people have never been to before. For example, the edge of the Milky Way galaxy. Nobody's ever been there before, and nobody ever will go there in our lifetimes, but we're able to go there in a dome. So we're able to visualize and take people places that they've never been to, they've never seen, or never experienced. And that is a focus of a lot of our programming in the Planetarium. That includes also places like the bottom of the ocean or Florida's coral reef. The vast majority of people here, unless you've been out diving, have never seen the reef in person, but you can go there in a dome space. So those are the kinds of immersive experiences that we're creating in the Planetarium. As far as our exhibits go, it's going to be a little bit more of creating experiences that people can engage with, or they can be led by a person through, right? Some of that storytelling. So whether it's something that they're more familiar with or a concept that they're unfamiliar with, it's really sort of that narrative-driven story that we're looking to bring to our exhibition experiences.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm just wondering, could you maybe go more into just the overall process of how to build a network and get involved in networking? I'm just a little curious into that.
Well, you're starting well. Being here, that's a good start. But like I said, LinkedIn, that's definitely the spot. And just honestly anywhere, like at cafe, you see someone on their laptop and you're just start a convo. And you're in Miami, you're in a great spot to be connecting with all sorts of industry leaders. So yeah, just being talkative. But I guess if you're more introverted, which is like 50% of the population, then LinkedIn's a great spot to start, and just following anybody you can.
Reach out, send a note to them when you connect with them. Say, hey, took a look at your profile. I saw you're interested in this. I would love to talk about this.
Yeah, literally ask ChatGPT to come up with a little prompt like, hey.
180 characters. But also just here today, make it a goal. Be like, I want to connect with 2 people today. And next time there's a speaker event, say, okay, I want to connect with 2 more people today. And slowly, you build your network like that. It's not about numbers, not a numbers game, I think. It's more about the genuine connection. So.
Yeah, I'd say that the follow-up conversation that you have with that person that you meet at an event like this is probably more important than meeting them in some ways, because you can connect with people, but if you don't follow up on those connections, then it's not gonna go anywhere, right? So it's those follow-up connections, those follow-up stories that you're able to build with people, those follow-up relationships. That's super important. That's really the step that you should take to network. That's what it's all about.
One last thing. I know we do a lot of speaker events. Literally what Alec is saying, I think that makes you stand out from another attendee. It's not just the connection, but the follow-up. Saying, I loved what you said here, would love to talk more about it. But that's how I would start.
Alrighty. Thank you guys so much for joining us here on this panel.